All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Devstream 165 breakdown. So, today we got some big news that isn't good news and a lot of smaller details. And also just kind of what the plan is for probably, honestly, the next 4 or 5 months of what DE is going to be doing. So, to start us off, we have the Echoes of Veilbreaker. First and foremost, this is 5 days away. This is coming out on November 2nd, and this is going to include the Venkra and Sprag fight in Break Narmer missions, which is Venkra in the Sentient Murex, and Sprag is going to be in Junkrun, which is the Grineer mission, which is the second mission that you would do as a new player. So those, we don't know what the rewards are going to be for fighting these two yet. Hopefully, it's like a good chunk of additional stock that we'll be able to get at least from them. And it also seems like they basically teased that we're going to be unveiling these two or trying to like save them somehow. So they might become a part of Call's camp as well. We don't have a lot of details on like what the reward structure is going to be, but we saw a little bit of the Venkra fight, and it seems like it's kind of a Warframe style version, which means much faster and all that stuff, of course, of kind of trying to do like the Ends fight from Metal Gear Solid 3 for those who are, up on that fight, which is probably not as many people as I'd hope. Regardless, that's coming out. We're going to get these skins for their weapons, which is a sniper and a hammer skin. The sniper skin looks cool. We use sniper rifles. Hammers don't see a ton of use outside of maybe the Frag or Prime occasionally, so I don't see that being super useful. Regardless, they're just skins that are entering the market. We did get some shard ephemera. So for shard ephemera, I'll try and put a video up here. Roast me in the comments if I don't. There are 2 of them. One of them is basically a full spine that shows all of your different shards that you have installed, which looks great, and I will put that on Chroma. I will put that on like probably my Wisp. There's a bunch of frames that I think are going to be appropriate for that ephemera. Looks really cool. And then the second ephemera, which is a single shard that they said that you can choose the color on, so it's customizable for the single shard that's like basically all the way through your chest and like pokes out the center. And then when you stand still, all of your actual shards will like be rotating around you and be visible, which rules. The big worry that I had was that this was not going to be like there wasn't going to be a subtle ephemera like that, and I wish probably that there would be a version of the ephemera where the shards rotate around you that doesn't have the one that's through your chest. But if it's colorable, you could ostensibly like make it black and make it much less visible and make it help blend into whatever fashion you're using. So you should be able to use it on whatever frame you want. Otherwise, it would probably be pretty hard to use this on any frames that don't have a red included color scheme in terms of fashion usage. But yeah, seems really cool. Very cool ephemeras that are going to be available from Chipper for stock. Also, stock changes. So, cumulative change. The cumulative change is basically that whenever you do objectives, you will make progress in them, and then you will maintain that progress between runs. Also, for collectibles, they are going to be doing an oversupply of collectibles. What that means is instead of there being only 5 Grineer tags that spawn in the mission, they'll spawn like 7 or 8 of them instead. So you have to find 5 of them, but there are more than that for you to actually be able to collect to complete it. Also, a thing that's worrying, there are going to be more combat challenges and not as many collectible challenges. If I'm honest, the collectible challenges are annoying because there's not a lot of quality of life on them, and like it's a pain because of that. But at least they're not a trying to manipulate enemies to stand near each other and shit type of pain in the ass. A lot of the combat challenges, like we had the recent one, which was like shoot down the sentient ships in the Murex that didn't even work, that you couldn't even do, that they're going to be running a script to give everybody the rewards for. But beyond that, like kill 5 enemies in 3 seconds, that's just annoying to try and get 5 enemies to stand near each other so you can do that as Call on like the Grineer mission or whatever mission. More combat challenges are honestly not something I look forward to at all. Unless they're like, made a bit more not a pain in the ass and trying to manipulate the AI to stand in the right place. Because that's that's rough. If it's more combat challenges like, hey, go defeat Venkra, or hey, go defeat Sprag, then that's like much more reasonable, of course. Or like, you know, defeat. There's a number of things you could do. Like, you know, get a stealth attack on an enemy or something of that nature. There's things to be done there. But I think overall, I think that the call missions really need more quality of life than just these 3 changes. Because otherwise, I think it'll still be pretty rough. There's a new Stynex alternate helmet. I've really come to the point where Stynex has a Void Shell skin, and if you have that, the alternate helmets and stuff don't launch with Void Shell, and they're not going to match your Void Shell, and so on and so forth. I really wonder if we're going to get to the point where Void Shell is just the standard for things that get released. I really hope we get to that point, because right now we're kind of getting the same unfortunate mismatch that we used to have whenever you would combine things that were PBR'd and things that weren't PBR'd. At this point, it's very hard to find objects that don't have PBR yet, or they're going to be very minor, which is like physically based rendering. It was like a new rendering technique that made things look way better, for anyone that doesn't know. We're having the exact same thing now with items that don't have Void Shell and items that do. If you're using the skin that has Void Shell, especially on a frame like Stynex, who doesn't have like a Prime and like a different skin and all these other things and Deluxes and all that stuff, and then you try and use a helmet that doesn't have it, usually it just makes having the Void Shell pointless if you want to use that helmet, because the materials are going to be completely mismatched and it's going to be a nightmare. So hopefully Void Shells really spread to more things as we move in further. Also, with this update, we're going to be getting the Drifter Armor Sindana, so you're going to be able to put armor sets and Sindanas on your Drifter, so that'll be a thing that you can do there. Now, the big news. DUVIRI Paradox is delayed to 2023. We are not getting the DUVIRI Paradox this year. It is going to be next year. Now, there are a few things that we can infer from this. With DE, usually the case is that nothing gets released in January outside maybe a Prime Access that was already done gets released. So for that means that November, obviously no DUVIRI. We already definitely knew that. December, no DUVIRI. January, no DUVIRI. And then we talk about February. February, theoretically, they could release something, but I don't think that it would be a good idea for DE to release the DUVIRI Paradox in February. And the reason for that is because I'm going to read you the current release list for February. And this is not everything. There are a lot of things that are slated for like just Q1 2023 that also could fall into this. And this is just what we know right now has release dates for February. And these are, I'm only going to mention like major things. There's more than this. We have Deliver Mars, Dead Island 2, the Hogwarts Legacy game, which people are going to play that. Just put it out there. Shinobi Rising, Wanted Dead, Wild Hearts, Like a Dragon Ishin, which is the new Yakuza game, a new Digimon RPG, which people do play, Octopath Traveler 2, a new Kirby game, and then Destiny 2's Lightfall expansion is coming out. And I think that's all of like, Darkest Dungeon 2 also launches ostensibly on Steam, which is basically the real release of that game, even though it's been in beta on Epic for a while. Whenever that game comes to Steam, it's basically going to be like it was never released before. Also Kerbal Space Program 2 and a number of other games. So February is full. Like it's full up. I think that it would probably be a bad plan to release the DUVIRI Paradox in February, because I think that Warframe will just get buried underneath just like the avalanche of games that are going to be that month. Also notable though is that in March, if I had to give DE a release date, I would probably say March 10th. And the reason for that is not because there's nothing in March, because Wolong comes out in March, which is a cool thing. And then at the end of March, there's like, where is it at? At the end of March, there's the Resident Evil 4 remake. And at the beginning of March, there's Wolong. So those are two major games for sure. But on March 9th, Skull and Bones comes out. And I think that game's going to be a gigantic, hilarious disappointment. So the perfect time to launch a big, cool update and have it go well is March 10th. People are going to be looking for stuff to play whenever they get disappointed by Skull and Bones. So maybe. I'm just going to shoot my shot and say March 10th, that area there probably would be a good time for the DUVIRI Paradox to come out. Just given what we know about the current schedule right now, obviously things can change. But yeah, really unfortunate that the DUVIRI Paradox got delayed, but just like necessary for their workflow. On the upside, however, we are getting another update this year with Lua's Prey. So Lua's Prey is going to be coming. We are going to be getting the Wolframe, who we have the name for. The Wolframe's name is Varuna, which I think is pretty good. My personal choice was Dinara, which I think is super, like definitely a good one. But Varuna, very good. Definitely my second choice, so not unhappy with that at all. We got some in-game like concept modeling and stuff. They look awesome. I think they look really cool. Also, we got some details about like the wolf heads that she has. So all 4 of these wolf heads are basically different characters. And if you were in the votes for this, their names are the places 2 through 5 in here. So the wolf names of her wolves that she has is Raksha, Lycith, Ulfra, and Dinara. So that is what these 4 different wolves are named. We don't know which one's which yet, though. So that's cool. Each one's distinct and has like its own thing. We only know one thing about her kit, which is that she has 4 passives. She won't have a passive. She'll be given a passive by one of her wolves, and she can choose and change it mid-mission, which would hopefully mean that the passives are very impactful. Also, her signature weapons are an energy sniper rifle and then an axe, which it's an axe. It's an energy sniper rifle. Here they are. There's not a whole lot to be said besides that. Also, for farming her, we have 2 new survival nodes on Lua, which is kind of a minorly remixed survival. There's going to be 2 difficulties, a low difficulty and a high difficulty. High difficulty looked like it was level 80, and there's also going to be the Steel Path variants of the mission. This is going to be post-War Within only, and the Necromech is added to these zones, which means you can use the Necromech here. The Necromech is unfortunately not as people speculated, which is that it was going to be added to all of the star chart like people have been wanting. It is just for these tiles, or for these mission nodes. Also, speaking of tiles, we have a masterpiece tile, which I'm interested in and also skeptical of. This is basically described as being a special tile that is story relevant, that's going to be able to spawn in these missions. Also, as part of the mechanics, basically like DUVIRI zones will spawn in this survival. And I just mean like an AoE that turns black and white. It's just like the effect that DUVIRI has. And there's going to be some story stuff that like Lotus is going to like speak to you over comms and stuff for. Here's my concern. These are both survival missions, and you need to be playing survival in order to keep going. If there's a very involved masterpiece tile where you have to do like a lot and you're like trying to like absorb story, I don't think that survival's the right place for it. Like that should probably be added into a mission where you can really take your time, such as like, you know, exterminate or capture or like any number, like rescue, any number of different missions where you can do the mission and then be like, now I got to go back to the masterpiece tile and like examine this and check it out. Being on a timer and like having to deal with life support don't seem like it doesn't seem like it really lines up with experiencing a cool story tile. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but the idea I think sounds super cool to basically just have a tile that can spawn in and then like you see like a lot of interesting cool things and possibly get some special rewards or something, as that's happened in special tiles before. This is also where Varuna is going to drop from. Also, these 2 things are linked up. Varuna is going to drop from these missions, but Varuna and the weapons have a higher drop rate on the higher level mission. So you'll get them faster if you do the higher level mission, which does not make any fucking sense. There basically was no mention of any long-term reward, and if the higher level mission, the more difficult mission, has better drops for Varuna and her weapons ostensibly, what drops there that's going to make me come back to this mission ever? Like, it's really weird that you wouldn't have, the low-level mission for you to get Varuna, get the weapons, and experience the masterpiece tile, and then the high one for, like, a fun, longer-term farm, even if it was just good for relics or something, just giving people a reason to go and do it long-term. real weird. I think that like nodes that are endless missions and stuff like need some kind of long-term hook, especially if they're going to be a special version of like a survival or something, just to keep people on that node. But whenever you get Varuna and these weapons, it seems like there's going to be no more reason to do these things at all, which is baffling. But yeah. Also, Zaku Deluxe. We got to see some in-game stuff, not quite done yet, modeling. So notable, Zaku Deluxe most of the time, just so we're all clear, this is like what you would see whenever you're not in your 4. Reminder, very cool. Not the skin. This is not the skin you will be experiencing. This is the skin you will be experiencing. Zaku is a Skeblin pretty much 100% of the time if you are like playing them the way they clearly want to be played. So cool looking skeleton, but just reminder, you are going to be a skeleton for like pretty much all time. This is pretty much just a thing you'll see if you're in your Lizette and such there. So very cool, but this is the actual skin that you're going to be seeing quite a bit. Other stuff with Lewis Prey, that is going to be whenever we are going to get the new Nightwave, and that is going to include what are called protocol skins. I don't have any images of them here. I think you're going to be able to just immediately conjure this image up into your head. This is a thing we've been waiting for a while. They actually talked about this like quite a few years ago, which is just straight up realistic weapon skins for weapons in Warframe. Like we're talking like straight up a Glock, a revolver, just strictly weapons, a sawed-off shotgun, just like what you think of whenever you think of those things. That's the skin. Like what you would see in like a Resident Evil for a sawed-off shotgun, that's the sawed-off shotgun. Like it is very much just like the realistic versions of those weapons. We don't know like all of them that are going to be included. We saw basically like an Uzi / Scorpion or a Tech 9 or it's like, you know, it's off-brand version of those things. And then Glock, revolver, sawed-off shotgun. Like we're going to get some realistic weapons. They look hysterical. They look hilarious in the hands of a Warframe, and I cannot wait to use them. Especially the Glock, because there's the memes that can be made with that are vast. So that'll be a very good time. Also, we got the details on some Ureli changes. We already had some of these before. Her passive, she's going to have Forgiveness on, which basically means that she's not going to lose it right when she stops moving. There's going to be basically a timer on that. Her snares are going to give you a double damage debuff on held enemies, which doesn't matter. I'm still going to replace this and put Gloom in. And then Marolina, Operator won't cancel your K drives now, and that's just universal and includes Marolina. So you'll be able to like jump off on Operator to hack doors and do other things like that without leaving Marolina, and your Warframe won't leave Marolina when you do that. So that's all very good for Marolina. And then Riptide is going to, we knew this before, but basically you're going to be able to hit 4. It's going to do its like suction part, and then it won't just blow up right away until you tell it to blow up. So it'll be much more of like crowd control, putting enemies together, which works well with her passive, so that you can like get in there with a secondary weapon and kill all the enemies that you've grouped up, and you won't need to like explode them everywhere and make a giant mess of enemies. Basically side anymore, but you can still do it if you want to. So some minor benefits to Ureli, definitely better stuff, but not like great. And then finally, wrap up here. So basically, winter 2022, I'd probably guess that this is going to be the first or second week of December. That's pretty much the only time for this to launch that makes sense at all. And then DUVIRI Paradox, the absolute earliest I think is going to be the end of February that we see the DUVIRI Paradox, but probably I would guess it's going to be in March. And then as a note on cross-platform play, cross-platform right now is between PC and Xbox, and they basically announced they have no plans to turn that off. That is staying on for the foreseeable future unless there's a problem. Also, there is going to be more just like random tests. They're not going to put a specific date out because it doesn't work with the way that they're implementing it. But the way that they're implementing it so far, based on this, like, you know, the like integration of Xbox very cleanly, if I'm honest, seems good. And then as a final note, we get to talk about self-damage again. So it seems like we went from a thing that might happen if AoE is still a problem to a thing that is happening with self-damage. So we're probably getting this. I would say at this point, with how much they've talked about it, we are probably getting this. And here are the general rules. You cannot kill yourself with this. You cannot kill yourself with self-damage. This will remove the self-CC, and the way that it works is you will deal 75% of your shields and health to yourself at max. There is like a range at which you deal different percentages of damage to yourself. And basically, if you are at 4,000 health, let's say, and you do 75% to yourself, you go to 1,000. And then if you do 75% to yourself, you go to 250, and then so on and so forth. If you're at 1, you still will not kill yourself. So you cannot kill yourself with self-damage, but you can break your shield gate. For a lot of Warframes, that's the more important part. Because if you can break your shield gate, that means that enemies can just one-tap you. Like, at any sufficient level, most Warframes with a broken shield gate will just die. So, in terms of this, there's a few things. One, if this hurts Rhino's Iron Skin, that's horrible for Rhino. So that's a note. For Neja takes damage while his 3 is on. If this bypasses the damage resistance, that means that you are going to break your own shield gate and potentially die to sufficiently high level enemies, which sucks. Also, it means that Revenant stonks go crazy up, because if those two things are the case, and then you look at Revenant, if the self-damage bypasses Revenant's 2 and deals damage to you, Revenant does not give one single solitary fuck about that. You still will be protected by your 2 and be able to re-up your 2. So, basically, any Warframe that isn't just like pretty much outright invincible will be worse in that event with the self-damage. And like the self-CC stuff is basically just like, it seems like a response to people just being able to use Prime Sure-Footed to not have the self-CC. So there's that. I'm thinking that, like, I mean, right now there's a mod that, like, well, I guess it used to do that, is that it used to make it so you didn't take self-damage. Like, do we just start using that then? Because that exists. But yeah, so it's kind of messy. I think if it just dealt a bunch of health damage to you, that would be one thing. You being able to break your own shield gate is like much more like the big problem. Overall, pretty, like, you know, short dev stream. Not a whole ton of things that are coming, and a big delay on DUVIRI, which is unfortunate. But thankfully, there are other things happening this year. And with that, we are going to be playing Bayonetta 3 tonight. So if you want to head over to the stream, twitch.tv/Brozime, that's going to be the plan for tonight. Should be an enjoyable time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you to all of the new patrons and returning patrons, and especially thank you to our $10 plus patrons, which are Aiden Neon, rather, Brutus Salazar, Donald Stevens, Dylan Dworsky, Thrain, Jacob Bean, JC4Science, Joshua Adams, Lou Zanth, Malik X. Williams, Petruzanka, Mitchta, Nicholas Ridley, Paradise, Shan Hardeen, Victor, Zach Zahner, Aaron Vanderbroek, and all of our $5 patrons, and also the $2 patrons that we have. But yeah, things should be good this month. We just got the announcement that there's not going to be any echoes of the Zaramon happening, or echoes of the most recent update, rather. So there's going to be time to fill in a lot of old guides for Warframe, which is awesome. Should expand the site and be great. Thank you so much for everyone's support on Patreon. I really appreciate it.